Hey guys, Migs here, and in today's video we are back with my 1964 Volvo 1800s. And in today's video, we are going to be fixing, hopefully, a major issue, once again, that is causing this thing not to run how it should be. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a video of its own, or if it's going to splice into the video of us hopefully taking this thing to the car show that I've been dying to take this thing to. As you guys know, we just did the oil pump on this thing, and it is all good there. When I took it out for the drive, the oil pressure maintained really good. Everything was good. I did swap in the new oil with the Volvo filter, so as far as the whole oil pressure issue, we're all good. But after about 25 minutes into my test drive, it began sputtering really bad, like fuel cutting. I turned it off, let it rest for a little bit, turned it on. It was good. Like another 15 minutes went by, same thing, sputtering like crazy and just no good. So it sounded like an ignition or fueling issue. And on this engine, somebody had put in a electric fuel pump, like one of these clicky-clacky ones. It is a Holley, so it is nice, but electric fuel pumps are not factory on a 64 Volvo 1800s. Mechanical fuel pumps are, which this one has down there, and this one has been there since I bought the car. So what I went ahead and did is I took off the electric fuel pump, put on the mechanical fuel pump, and the engine did run, but I believe the reason they put an electric fuel pump is because the mechanical fuel pump leaks out of the peephole. So instead of putting on the electric fuel pump once again, I want to revert everything back to factory how it is. And if you guys probably noticed, I did put on some new fuel line, and the filter used to be post fuel pump. And I noticed that there were some issues with like it filling up with fuel. So I went ahead and put the filter to pre-pump, so it's clean fuel going into the fuel pump, doesn't get all clogged up and everything. Because I did have to change around the fuel line and everything when I did temporarily hook up to the mechanical fuel pump for testing purposes. But right over here I have a nice new Italian mechanical fuel pump for this thing that we're gonna go ahead and install. And I also went ahead and got brand new plug wires for it because the ones on here are all cracked and not in good shape. Like you can see, they literally pull right off, and they don't really even snap on, so these probably aren't the best quality. So what I want to go ahead and do is swap on the new spark plug wires and put on the new mechanical fuel pump and hopefully have this issue fixed so we can make it out to this car show, because as it is right now, it is not even going to come close to making it. So we definitely got to get this fixed. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to start with taking off the mechanical fuel pump and putting in the new one. The old fuel pump is off. I got it down here just because there's some fuel in it, but nothing out of the ordinary. Looks broken on it, but that little hole right there is where fuel is shooting out of. Now, that is a peephole. I think it is meant for like some fuel to come out, but it was like spraying out, which tells me that the diaphragm in this is probably shot. So I just finished cleaning up the surface down there, so I want to go ahead and install the new one with the new gasket, plumb everything up, put on the wires, and then try and fire this thing up. Hopefully not have any leaks and hopefully not have any more sputtering issues. Alright, so the plug wires are all installed. The new fuel pump is installed. I'm going to go ahead and crank this thing up. It might take a little bit, might take a few cranks, or there might be some fuel left in the carbs, who knows. Right, there we go. Idling. So far looking good. We have no leaks at the gasket, no oil leaks underneath. It seems to be sounding pretty good for sure. But the only way we're going to know if it's actually fixed is if I go ahead and take it for a test drive. So I'm going to let it warm up for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to go ahead and take it out and hopefully have this thing running smooth after like 25 minutes of driving. Alright guys, so I've been driving for a little bit now, and it is starting to sputter, as you guys can probably hear. So not fixed. So I'm pulled over right now, and it still idles. It hasn't turned off and like died. We have fuel in the filter. Re-revving, it sounds absolutely fine. Oh man, this is weird. I'm gonna go ahead and pull a spark plug here. See how we're looking. All right, not bad at all. I think I'm gonna go ahead and buy a new set anyway, just to cancel that out. All right, so I just got some new spark plugs in it. Hopefully this helps or changes something so we can narrow down our issue here. I actually don't think that the plugs that are in it now are actually meant for this engine, so hopefully we could be onto something here. Let's give this a try. The new spark plugs are in, so we're trying to start it now. I'm sure we're not going to notice a difference right away, but I'm going to drive it and hopefully not break down, because I was about to break down. Not fixed. As you can probably hear. Oof, no, real bad. Alrighty guys, so last thing you guys saw was we put spark plugs in it and it was not fixed at all. Absolutely nothing changed. So I actually was able to limp it back to the garage and I just really looked over everything and I was testing the voltage at the coil and we only had about 6 volts. So I went to the battery with the engine running and the alternator was not working at all. I tried testing the alternator, you know, everything, and there was 0 volts coming from it. So keep in mind, I am on a major time crunch right now, and I was able to find an alternator online, order one, and it is here. And along with the alternator, I also went ahead and ordered a new belt for it because the other one was shot, and some parts for the distributor, just in case that we are having an issue there. Just a new rotor cap and a new condenser, because I feel like it just, as I'm ordering stuff, might as well just do that. And I also went ahead and installed a fuel pressure gauge, and it is sitting right at 3 pounds, which is perfect for these carburetors. Now, I know it seems low, but these twin SUs, I looked them up, I looked up the specs and everything. They're super finicky, and they like to be between 2 and 4 pounds. So 3 is absolutely perfect. We shouldn't have this major of an issue if it was because of fuel pressure. So if it is the alternator, that honestly makes sense because as I'm running it and putting it under load, you know, the coil just can't keep up. It doesn't have sufficient amount of volts, and that's why it's misfiring like absolute crazy. So hopefully we can install this and actually have a running car, because we are T-minus basically 1 day until this car show, and I'm destined to make it out there, but it is a very far drive. So if I could barely make it like a mile, even that is pushing it, then we're not going to be making it to this car show at all. So we're going to go ahead and get all of these parts installed, fire it up, and take it for a drive and hopefully have a running car. Just finished getting the new alternator installed. Everything's all tightened down, and we got a new belt on there with much better belt alignment than it had before. And let me show you guys the belt that came off of this thing. So this thing is in horrible shape. As you can see, it just completely cracked everywhere. And this is actually not a belt for cars. This is a belt for a lawnmower. So that just goes to show the type of condition that this car was in when I got it. Just everything really jerry-rigged and done really, really bad. But what I want to do now is just go ahead and pop in some of the parts for the distributor. And I do have my multimeter sitting on the battery right now because I do want to go ahead and fire it up real quick just to make sure that we are charging and all the wires are hooked up correctly, because I did have to change some of the wiring around for the back of the alternator and just change, you know, from basically a connection that you can bolt down to a connection that is it's a prong basically, and you just plug it right in. So I had to change some of that, but I think everything's right. The battery is reconnected and there's no smoking or anything like that. So it's a good sign, but let's go ahead and just fire it up real quick, make sure that we're charging, make sure the belt looks good, and then move on to the distributor, and then we should be good, hopefully. Key on. Let's give it a quick start. On. It's idling real low. Let me rev it up quick here. Oh yeah, we're charging. Sweet, that is perfect. The belt alignment looks really, really good. Everything looks nice and solid. And now let's move on to the distributor. So I just finished doing everything with the distributor. Here's the old condenser. It's definitely pretty beat up, so I'm definitely happy that we're throwing a new one on there, see if there's any difference at all. But I think the biggest difference, at least I'm hoping for, is from the new alternator. So with that being said, let's go ahead and pull this out and take it for a drive. We are off. I am praying that everything we've done to it so far is going to fix this issue. I also did a few stuff off camera. None of it is really going to even matter with how it runs, but it's just, oh, maybe one of them. But I did fix a major exhaust leak that was at the downpipe basically, because I had a really, really cheap like flex pipe on there. So I just went ahead and fixed that, so it actually sounds way better now. There's no more fumes coming in because everything's going out the back now. And I also fixed the starter solenoid because it actually fell off of the starter. The screws that were in it actually, I think, just rattled out and it shot off of the starter. So every time I went to start it, it would just spin. So I had to go ahead and just basically just find screws for it and just install and just rewire everything up back up, which is nice and easy. But now we have a starter that works every time now, which is always a good plus. We're pretty much warmed up now. It actually sounds way different, the engine. I feel like I can actually hear way more of the engine now that we have no exhaust leak, and the alternator and the belt before were really noisy. It was actually the wrong alternator for this car. It's completely not the right one, and plus that lawnmower belt was, well, not right at all and in horrible condition. I think we're gonna pull over right here, pop the hood quick, give it a quick look over. I'm gonna keep it running though, I'm not gonna turn it off. And I'm also gonna check the fuel pressure, hopefully it's still around 3. And then we should be good to keep rolling, because right now it feels pretty good. So we're definitely better progress than we were when I drove it last. Oh yeah, it's revving way better. So I'm just pulled over on the side of the road here. Let's see how we're looking. All right, alternator still looks perfectly aligned, no smoking. Now let's see, we're still charging. Yep, perfect, 13.7, that is perfect. Just below 3, about 2.5. It's a little low, but it's pretty much what it calls for the twin SUs, but I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on that. Maybe the fuel filter can be a little bit of restrictive, and I might have to change that around, but so far we're running good. So I'm gonna disconnect this and we're gonna keep on going. So everything, like we saw, is looking good. Oil pressure is about 55 pounds right now. We're sitting about 170 degrees, which is good. I'm just gonna keep driving until we have an issue, but everything's sounding and feeling really good right now. But we've probably been driving for about 15 minutes, and usually around the 20-minute mark, we start to have some issues. So I'll catch you guys back, you know, in about 5-10 minutes with an update, and we'll see what happens. It's about 10 minutes later, and I'm about to put this thing in overdrive. We're in 4th right now, feeling good, revving nice. And there's overdrive right there, chugging right along. I was really only able to do about 1st gear with how bad this thing was driving last time, so we're probably about 25-30 minutes into this drive right now, and it's feeling good. I'm still really nervous because I've only driven this thing max 45 minutes since I've owned it, like in one ride. So definitely getting a little bit nervous right now, but I mean, we know the oil pressure is not going to give us a problem. Brand new oil pump, oil pickup tube, the seals, we really overhauled this thing recently, so really shouldn't give us any more issues, hopefully, unless there's mechanical damage to the engine, which I don't really suspect. But I'm gonna run it through the gears quick. Oh yeah. Overdrive. Yeah, I've never been able to run it through the gears like that before. It's always bogged down when you get close to full throttle. I didn't floor it, but I was just playing into it a little bit just to see, make sure it's smoothened out and everything. And it's smooth, so I don't want to say it too early, but we're like 40 minutes into this drive now, and I think it's fixed, which is awesome. But I'm going to do one more pull over here, double check everything, especially after that. We revved it up pretty high, and then I think we're good. All right, we are fixed for sure. I am gonna go ahead and cut it off, give it a little bit of a break, and double check everything while everything's off, but I think we're good. All right guys, so I've been sitting here for a little bit now, and I'm about to pull off. Let's see how it does on a hot start. Perfect. All right, if we're good after this, I think we're good to make it to the car show. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're good. I've been saying it 100 times, but I keep wanting to reassure myself that we are good, because every year I look forward to this car show, and ever since I got this car, I was planning on bringing it. And of course, we had to fix all these issues like a few weeks before, and now literally the day before. But I'm feeling confident. Oh, let's go. I am so pumped. I just got this thing back to the garage, as you can see, and it is running the best it's ever had since I've owned it, for sure. The oil pressure is great, not overheating, no stumbling, no sputtering, fires up right away. Idle's great, rev's great. So this thing's dialed. It has a brand new oil pump, oil pickup tube with the seals, new oil pan gasket obviously, fuel pump, fuel pressure gauge, new plug wires, new spark plugs, new alternator, new belt. This thing is ready to go. I don't know if this is going to be included with the car show video or not. Depends on how much I film at the car show, because that could probably be a video in itself, because it is such a nice show. So it should be a good turnout. The weather looks like it's going to be great, and the drive in this is going to be major. It's over an hour drive, so I just drove it for about 50 minutes straight, and it didn't give us any issues, but we are going to be doing some highway speeds for most of the time. We're definitely going to be putting it through its paces, but anyway guys, with that being said, I'm going to be ending off this video here. Follow my social media, see you in the outro of this video, Instagram and Snapchat I use the most, but thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, tell your friends about the channel. Alright, good morning guys. We are on our way to the car show with a running Volvo. We just left, engine's still warming up, but hopefully we have as good as luck as we did on our test drive yesterday and able to make it out there. I brought, that is bright. I brought a ton of tools. The whole trunk is filled with toolboxes and parts for this thing, so in the event of anything happens, we are prepared. But we are going to be picking up my friends and we're going to be going out there. I'm not sure how much I'm going to record going out there. If everything goes well, then there probably won't be much to record, but once we get to the show, definitely going to be able to show you guys some cool cars. Wow, that sun is bright. But that means good weather for today. Alright guys, so we've been on the road for like 20 minutes now. On the highway, everything's been running smooth. It's running really, really good. But the only thing is the overdrive is not working right now. And if you guys remember when we first got the car, it wasn't working, and we just had to keep driving it until it just kind of remembered what to do, and then it worked every time. But as you guys know, with everything that's been going on with it, it's been under the knife. It hasn't been getting driven a lot. So I'm hoping that it'll do the same thing and just activate whenever I switch it on eventually. We hear it activating under the car. It's clunking, which it normally is supposed to do, but it's not actually working. So I just been doing 4th gear on the highway, and it's kind of spinning a little bit high, but the oil pressure's good. It's staying cool, like right under 180 degrees, which is perfect, but we're kind of just doing a once over quick. I just topped it off with fuel, kind of overfilled it, and we kind of have a little bit of a spill in the back that came out of the vent, but it's good now. But yeah, we're just gonna do a quick once over, and then we're gonna keep on trucking along and get to the show. We're like 30 minutes away, but so far so good. Like 10 minutes away from the show. Overdrive still isn't working, but the speed limit's a little bit slower here. So this is more, you know, comfortable, at least for the engine, at least for my own sake. But we are definitely getting close. I'm still gonna keep trying with this overdrive. Honestly, at the show, I might try and tinker with it a little bit, just for the ride home. I would really like to try and get it to work. We just got it to the car show. It's full. Literally like 4 cars in front of us and fill it up. So we are gonna try and get in there a little bit later. We're still gonna obviously try and get in the show, but for now we're gonna park somewhere away from the show because we can't get in. And then hopefully once people start to leave, maybe in the middle of the show or something, we can start to make our way in there and at least park it up and let some people enjoy seeing it, because at least driving in, we've been getting some crazy attention. Everybody taking photos of the car, asking questions, so I think it's something to be a head turner if we can get in there. Alright guys, so we are leaving the show. We eventually actually were able to get inside. And as we just started driving, the overdrive just started working again. So that is definitely going to be a game changer and much better on the highway than spinning this thing high. But everything's still looking good. It's running real smooth. So we just got to make this drive back, and it would have been a really successful day. It was a pretty big hit when we got into the show. A lot of people were asking questions and stuff about it. So that was definitely really, really cool. So guys, we are back at the garage, and the Volvo did absolutely perfect. This thing ran amazing. It was strong the entire time. I got tons of compliments at the show, and even on the street, like when we just stopped to eat lunch and everything, it was just unbelievable, like how many people were asking about the car, and it just was really nice after all the work that we've been putting on it lately, starting with the oil pump and then just working through a ton of other issues from there. This thing's really getting dialed in, and I'm super, super happy how it performed today. Only issue is the overdrive is working on and off. On the highway, you know, we were still, you know, doing the speed limit and everything in 4th gear, but having overdrive the entire time would have been really nice. But the oil temp sensor actually started working, and we had an oil temp, so that looked good. It stayed at 180 the entire time. Oil pressure was 50 pounds while running on the highway with that oil being hot, and it was perfect. So I am so happy. Definitely going to be taking this thing out more to more shows and everything, just based on, you know, how much everybody really, really just likes seeing this thing, because nobody ever sees these. And the show had so many cool cars. Like I said, this is a show that I always try and get to, and this is the first time I ever brought a car, and it being this car is definitely really, really cool. So I'm super stoked about that. But anyway guys, I'm going to be ending off this video here. I didn't really bother recording too much with the driving just because nothing was really happening. There weren't really any issues to document. We just cruised out there with the windows down. It was beautiful weather, and it was just a really good time. So all we really have to do is figure out that overdrive, get the speedometer working, because that too is kind of funny, and then we should have a pretty dialed in car. But follow my social medias, they will be on the outro of this video, Instagram and Snapchat I use most. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, tell your friends about the channel.